Hello, everyone. We are live for the Carrot Lane, what looks to be the Christmas special. Bird sends us all Christmas hats, and now we look ridiculous. He just said before we got onto the live stream, he said, "Don't worry, the audience will love it. They'll just lap it up, mate. It's only us that thinks it's." Guys, firstly, just a massive apology. We missed Wednesday's show because I was basically face down in a ditch with a fever, and you can probably hear me kind of bunged up, but I'm definitely going to use the mute button if I feel like coughing, whatever. But it was really important. We had a bit of a get together with the boys. How are you two doing? What's been happening over the last sort of week or so, guys?
Burge, go ahead.
You go. Oh, okay.
Oh, you want me to go? Yeah. But let's do it together.
You go.
Out of any kind of away from crypto, my two daughters from uni are back. Got my son here, of course, for Christmas, which is really nice. And if they could see me now, they would feel absolutely embarrassed by their father. In fact, if they're looking now, I do apologize. And yeah, it's lovely to have them back, actually, and to be catching up with you guys.
You did say before we got on here that because we had the TikTok feature today, don't choose the TikTok feature, Jayden, because it'd be really embarrassed. No, I'm only joking. You were fine with it. It was the kids that might.
No, but they actually said to me they were embarrassed enough about seeing their father anywhere near doing something like this, but going on TikTok was a band because it's just embarrassing.
The thing is, how famous do they think the show is? I mean, like,
I don't know.
Clearly, it's very famous.
I know, but look, can you imagine if your dad looked like this streaming on TikTok with your friends watching? It just would be too difficult to carry on in life.
It's the words coming out of your mouth, mate, that makes you the wise savant. It's
all the worst, but yes, thank you.
All good, Bert. What have you been up to, Bert?
I've been on a bit of a tear on the markets. I've been buying up a lot of NFTs. I've been buying a little bit more Punk Strategy when it dipped. Cut my thumb, so that's amazing.
Where is this never-ending pit of money coming from, mate?
Well,
I bought the last dip. I bought the last
funds.
dip 25. I bought the last dip 25 dips ago, and it's kept dipping, mate. Although I have been actually considering selling my gift go as well, because I know that you sold yours at one point.
Yes, yeah, sold it recently.
Need to kind of free up some liquidity, to be honest. But yeah, what happened with the thumb then, mate?
Yeah, the thumb. Honestly, it was the stupidest thing ever. I had an old phone, and I was trying for ages to get the case off it, which was it's somehow like almost glued shut. And I leveraged it out with some butter knives, and then on the back was this this magnet. And because I was like thinking of listing it to sell, I wanted to prise the magnet off, but the magnet wouldn't come off. So I was like, I need something pointy to go underneath. And I was like, well, I realized it was stupid. Like I realized it's gonna slip, and so it's gonna go in this direction. So I can't have my thumb or my hand there. As long as it's going into the air, it will be fine. And somehow it came off. I prized it off, but as it prized off, it slipped and cut my thumb.
Gosh.
This was at 5 a.m. last night, by the way, guys. 5 a.m. So
were you trying to get some money to do more investments?
Yeah, exactly. To buy more, actually, I'll segue here. To buy more apples. I've been buying apples from the Curio card collection. I now have 3 apples. I went from owning 0, and my friend Ben is a massive fan of Curio cards. He has 1, and I went from owning 0, and this guy saying, "You don't even like Curio cards. You don't own any." To over the last few months, acquiring quite a few Curio cards, and the apples at $800 each, I thought was just unbeatable. So I made a few offers, and they all got accepted. And I kept making sure I was the highest offer on OpenSea. And yeah, now I own 3 apples at $800 a piece.
You know, I remember when those apples were selling for 75 grand.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for.
I remember buying one for 6 grand, thinking I had got the deal of the century.
Yep. I mean, I put an offer in when they were just now, no, like just a few months ago, when they were $2,500. I put an offer in. I was looking to buy at around like $2,000 or whatever, and it's gone. And luckily, nothing got accepted. And now I was able to pick it up at like pennies on the pound.
That's insane. So, but
Jayden,
just for
quick, you must ask your question. You've asked us question. How are you feeling?
Thank you for asking, because I know I've been bad, guys. You know, you're the
look at us. Really sad for you.
Do you know the funny thing about this week? I've been doing content this whole year, right? And I've been going ham on Substack, and I've been putting notes out, and I've been putting tweets out, and the most engaged post I got was the one to say, guys, I'm really ill. I'm probably not going to post for a couple of days.
You should do that more often then.
Hey, yeah, I know.
You should do that more often.
Like, it's like, God, I've been bad. And look, I don't want to go on about the whole woe is me thing, because I know people listening to this are like, just get on with it. NFTs and crypto or whatever. But God, I went out for a few drinks on Sunday. It was like a Christmas jumper party. But there's this, I don't want to do the whole conspiracy theory thing, but there's this new variant of flu in the UK. And it's predominant in a place called Birmingham.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And I don't know if any of our US friends across the pond know, but I actually live in Birmingham. And I mean, they've had the most hospital visits for flu in recorded history or something like that. I've just read it online. It's called the K virus or something. So I've been like face down in a pillow, and you can't see straight. You're getting that like shivers and all these sorts of things. We were going to try and do the show yesterday. I'm glad we didn't, because I couldn't string a sentence together. I still can't, as you can tell. You're probably like, well, you never do anyway. So
there's any difference.
This episode is sponsored by Lempsip. So if you want to get the discount code, it's in the link in the description. No, that's a complete joke. But Simon, I appreciate you asking, my friend. It means a lot.
No problem. No problem.
Probably the first kind of person to ask. I just want to circle back quickly, Harry. You were talking about curio cards.
Yes.
In fact, before we go into that, guys, there's 15 people in this live stream. Just do me a massive favor. Please just share it with someone, whether it's a WhatsApp group or a repost, whatever platform you are viewing it on. This will be on LinkedIn, X, and Substack. So if you're on Substack, please just give it a restack. We'd really appreciate it. It does help the lives. This is the first time we've done it on a Saturday, so we're obviously not knowing how the engagement's going to work. And also, we've got to get better, one, doing these things on time, but two, obviously giving people more of a heads up as to when we're going to do them, whatever. But at the moment, you're just going to have to lean on the recordings, which you can get in the Apple Podcasts and on YouTube and on Substack as well. So there's loads of places that you can catch up on. So yeah, give it a restack. Really appreciate you guys listening in. I just want to circle back there, because we were talking about something that's quite nuanced, Burge. There will be a lot of people in the crypto space, in fact, many people who don't even know what Curio Cards is. You just want to give a bit of a brief on like what the project is, why the Apple is significant, because there's us three here like salivating over the fact that you've just got an Apple for $800, but that doesn't really have any context for a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, so Curio Cards is one of those historical NFT projects that I believe doesn't need to do anything for it to have a place. In history, it already has a place, but for it to accrue value over time, I don't think, it's definitely not like a standard NFT project where there's a community and they're looking to make partnerships and collaborations with Web2 brands, and they're looking to, create a revenue generating business. That's not Curio Cards. Curio Cards is a historical project. Essentially, it was what they have on their website is they put the first art show NFTs on Ethereum. It's the first NFTs, first art NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. And the Apple is the first, obviously. I come from the sports card world, and a lot of people would say the Apple being number one is the rookie card of kind of the curio card collection. Is the first thing, usually the first in, let's say, in collectibles, is a big thing. It usually is the thing that is where the value goes to most. So I do think all curio cards will do well over time, but I think the Apple especially is one that I really like. And then you've also got this kind of story with the first 10 that kind of depict the story of the world that we live in. So the Apple, I think, is meant to be Adam and Eve, and then you kind of go from like the developing of humans, so from foresting to making pottery to artwork to writing to art to and then number 10 is the future, for example, or number 9 is books, which is like knowledge, us becoming smarter and smarter. So yeah, curio cards, the big thing that I think a lot of people miss as well is when you look at the collection, the special thing is that it's multiple different artists. It's not just one person that's decided, I'm going to put out these 10, random pieces of artwork. They've collaborated with other artists that were around back in those days, back in 2017. So, famously, I know Jayden's brought it up on a previous episode, Xcopy actually applied and was rejected from curio cards. So just imagine if he had been in this. This would be bonkers. I don't think, but that's actually, in some ways, this is a little bit of a Simon take, but in some ways I actually like it that Xcopy was rejected because it adds to the lore, but I don't think it would have been as much of a sleeper if Xcopy was in this. I think it would be, it would be blasted on the front pages on the 2021, 2022 Times. And I still think now, if Xcopy was part of curio cards, I don't think it would be going under the radar as much. So I like it because I really do think it's under the radar. And I really do think a lot of people are wrong on it.
Yeah, interesting. Any thoughts, Simon?
Well, I was just thinking, I was nodding, going like that with a hat on, trying to be really serious, going like that. Yeah, I really get it. Absolutely, really
I can't take my eyes off of Burge's headset. It looks
it's like a strange alien. Yeah, something's going on that's slightly distracting me. But what I was going to say is, what it did trigger for me a little bit was just going, without trying to force a link, was with the Museum of Modern Art and the purchasing of the CryptoPunks of Squiggles, and it just sparked that thought about provenance and about what's happening, and regardless of prices at the moment, it's interesting seeing something like that happening in parallel, which I just think is good. One day you may see them in curio cards.
On that point, this curio cards was one of only a handful of projects that was auctioned off at Christie's. So famously, they auctioned off a full set of from 1 to 30. And some of these cards are ridiculously low supply. So they all have limited supplies. They're all different. So the Apple might have less than the nuts, for example. But there's some really rare ones in there, which only have maybe 100 copies. I think the full set back in 2021, it was 1st of October 2021, the full set of 30 cards plus an additional 17B, which is this other variant of the 17 card, sold for 393 Ethereum, which was it was somewhere between $800,000 and $1.1 million.
Wow. Yeah, that just shows you.
Yeah, it's interesting. The thing I like about curio cards, and it's probably a lot simpler than the whole historical thing, is that it predates CryptoPunks. So if all of the attention flows come into CryptoPunks, because everyone has this idea that CryptoPunks is the first, and obviously it's not. And actually, just to avoid some tribalism on the timeline, there is actually a contract that predates curio cards. I think one called Papyrium. So people will absolutely lose their minds. And this is just indicative of what the tribalism is in NFT land, because people are like, oh, no, ours was the first, but technically it's got this. It's like, whatever. But it's just the attention that it'll eventually get. And actually, I like you say, Burge, the lore of the story, and the fact that the cards take you through a passage in time, and they're experiments. They're different experiments. Well, it was the first ever experiment in artists getting paid for their work, but also they trialed different types of art, so like a drawing and a GIF and an animation. So they tried different things, which I think is really significant. Go on.
On that point, just quickly, I came across a video recently, and it was talking about how Van Gogh's paintings got to the value that they got, which is right now, his full collection is worth something like $10 billion. And the reason Van Gogh's artwork got to that value was actually, when he was alive, obviously a lot of people know his artwork was worthless. He couldn't sell it for anything really. And he would send it to his brother in Paris, I think. And they would try and sell his artwork, and he would keep sending it regularly. They would never be able to sell it. Then Van Gogh died, and then his brother died shortly after. And his brother's partner, his brother's spouse, was widowed. She had one kid, and she had all this artwork from Van Gogh, and she didn't know how to make it valuable. She didn't know how to sell it. She had all of it. She needed money. She didn't know how to sell it. And what she did is, along with the artwork, Van Gogh also sent lots of personal letters talking about his life. And she paired up the letters with the artworks, and then also made a book out of all the letters. And before she had done this, she had hosted these I don't know, galleries or whatever, tried to sell it, still wasn't selling. Then she published this book of all of his letters talking about Van Gogh's life, and it went viral. It went like off the charts. And then people started to care about the artwork because of the stories attached to it. So, for example, that one of his bed, which isn't, I wouldn't say isn't an amazing piece of art on the eye, but that was talking about the first thing that he was able to buy. The bed, it was like a little bit of stability. That was the first thing he was able to afford as an adult. And the sunflowers, for example, was something to do with trying to keep his art partner working with him, but in the end his art partner decided not to carry on working with him, and so it was this story of hope and kind of betrayal in a way. But these stories are what made Van Gogh's paintings worth what they're worth today, which is billions. And tying that into curio cards, I do think stories matter a lot. Stories behind an artwork, an artist's different take on why they've done a certain artwork and then submitted it to curio cards, that matters. These stories matter. And that first 10 curio cards that tell that story, I think it means something. It definitely matters more than artwork that doesn't have any story or real deep meaning behind it.
Does that mean all our NFTs will only be actually worth anything in about 100 years' time? When we've come and gone. Someone else will benefit from it. I'm not having that.
It's totally not.
It's
Burge. It's a very good point, Burge. Very good point.
I think that's probably one of the. It's such an insightful thing that you're saying there about how we got it out. I knew, because I don't know if you've ever heard the song. I think it's called Vincent. The Starry Night song. But obviously that's when, as a kid, I heard about this Vincent van Gogh or whatever. But I knew that I think he committed suicide. He he thought he was a complete failure. And then only after he died, his work became a thing. But I didn't know that story about how the work got out. So it's actually, that's fascinating.
It was just on my timeline, and the reason why I mentioned it was just because I thought it was worth mentioning, because we're talking about art here. We're talking about digital art, and I think stories matter when it comes to art. The meaning behind an art piece and the story behind an art piece matters a lot as to why people buy it. And you know, I mean, no one has to explain how big Van Gogh is and how big his artworks are today. And if that can happen with NFTs, whether it's curio cards or whether it's other artwork that was done early on the blockchain, I think it could be worth millions. And you know, on one final point, Beeple's Everydays, I think in some ways that is a great story, because that's 5,000 days of his artwork collated into one picture. But that tells a story of what those last 13 years of his life were like, and what influenced him to make a different piece of artwork each day. And that's a very it's a very captivating story that I think.
You know what I was thinking as well, without harping on too much about this, is that in a weird way, because we're all nerds and pretty crazy being in this NFT space in some ways, we're all part of a story, aren't we? Collectively,
yes,
we are part of that story wherever it goes, which is kind of part of the magic, I think, of why people love being in the space, because it's developing in front of our eyes and we're kind of in the middle of it. So I love that.
Bird's fantastic, my friend. One of the things I picked up on this week is Raoul Pal got interviewed again on that brilliant podcast, when Shift Happens. Unusual name, but he's a very good interviewer. I can't actually remember the guy's name. I know he's Swiss, but he interviews Raoul, and there's one really high premise part of the interview where he kind of talks about a mental framework for how people can think about this cycle. And I'll just add it here. Just bear me 2 seconds. But it's fascinating. Let's have a quick. Let's see if we can get this up here. There we go. All right.
My real, some of whom are not real. Let's think about the real ones. The ones who are really angry, or let's say emotional. I mean, they're humans, right? It's normal.
Yeah.
It's because you always say everybody has their hopes and dreams in their portfolio, right? Or in the crypto portfolio. Is it realistic for people to put all their hope and dreams in their crypto portfolio or in a crypto trade?
No, it's not realistic. But it's the only answer people can find. Because you can say the other way, which is, just get a second job or a third job. They're already doing 3 jobs. What is the answer? And I can't find one, because we can't change the political system. We can't change the debasement of currency to pay for the debt. How do we give them a chance? Would you give them handouts? Possible. Or do you give them access to the casino? It's not the best answer. Because crypto at core, those people who are more desperate tend to go further down the casino route, as opposed to, and you mentioned this a lot in your X posts, is it's a slow game, but people want it to happen immediately. But really, if you just said, hey, in 10 years time, I could probably 20x my money, I mean, that's la la land performance versus anything else. But people don't want to do it. They want 20x their money this month or this year. And then they break it down and they delude themselves that they only have the time of the cycle or this quarter or this trade. And it's like, and then people just get angry because it doesn't work. And it doesn't work. It's never worked.
There's an entire.
Interesting. Oh, Jayden, you're on mute.
Muted.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I just had to flick off the screen because I was coughing my lungs up. I think that is a fascinating thing. He does go on to ask him, because I think Raoul's, or people are starting to think with Raoul that he just keeps extending his time horizon. So he tries to give a kind of time horizon, and everyone's like, well, because he famously memed this banana zone thing that was going around on the internet, and quite clearly it hasn't been the banana zone we'd all hoped for, considering everyone is down. But I think he's right in what he's saying, is that, like, firstly, there's really no alternative to crypto for people who get in, because what else are you going to put money in that's going to go to the levels that this can go to? But also, actually, it is just a case of just playing the longer game and putting it into context. Like, you know, if you're making 10x in crypto, that is significant. That is a significant, or a 3x or a 5x. But, you know, some of these people have been, and to be honest, I still approach it with that sort of same framework, which is, Birds, you all know this, Simon, you all know this, in 2021, if you got into an NFT project and only did a 3 or 4x, you're like, what is this? Why am I wasting my time on this? But did you guys have any thoughts on that video, and just any general, like, market thoughts, Simon?
I was just thinking about what you said about, you know, our expectations in 2021. And yet years ago, when someone said, I doubled my money in a year, I remember thinking, God, that's amazing. That is what a deal, what a thing to do. And I think we have actually, I think he's got a good point, what we're discussing here about expectations. And I think we were a bit spoiled, a bit deluded, maybe. I mean, there are still those possibilities of going further than that. But I really like the idea of being grounded. And also, just one aside from it, when he was saying, you know, outside all the noise, almost like whatever's happening in the market, my take on it is that at the moment, the market is clearly down. And I do believe with everything that should be happening because of the conditions we're in, you know, it's a complete contrast between what is being adopted and the price and the market. And I do feel there's manipulation there and those kind of factors. But the point is, you can't keep it down forever. Even the big players can't keep it down forever, because adoption, you know, when it comes in with the weight of enough people to, I think, dissipate that. But I think what he's really saying, isn't it? Be sensible, put most of your investment in the bigger pots, which seem to have the most steady. I have to say, though, he was saying the more desperate you are, the further you go down. Well, I must be pretty damn desperate, because I keep buying NFTs. I keep thinking, well, I'm a bit bored I could go and buy some more Solana and a bit more ETH. And you once said, Jayden, I can't keep my ETH for long. Because
this is it.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm too excited. I'm too excited by things that I want to have, which are more tangible, and I'm part of something. That's the thing.
The thing is, when you've got into NFTs and you can see the things skyrocket to the levels that they get to, it just belittles everything you've ever done in your entire life. And then it gets you questioning, well, why would you try anything, or why would you get into anything else? Once you kind of got the secret sauce, you know, Bird, you're talking about the historical stuff. That is obviously a risk-adjusted thing. And in my view, it's just a bet on us becoming more digitized, because you can never recreate those earlier projects. And you kind of like, as the space gets more and more adopted, you can kind of bank on the fact that there will be more capital just flow into those assets. I mean, I know NFT now, I know they changed their name because NFTs just to become popular or whatever. They wrote an article on Curio Cards to say that was like the best risk-adjusted one. At a time when NFTs were getting absolutely trounced. So it was like, okay, so it's probably a good thing to get into.
I mean, just briefly on that, just to say, sorry, but just one last thing is to say, I am clearly investing in NFTs with a hope that things will go up. But I think I've actually, right now, I'm really genuine. I'm not just saying this. I'm genuinely buying things which I do think in the very long term are going to do well, not a flip. And because I want to be part of that community, and I really like what the team are doing and everything around it. It's not just the asset. That's what I'm drawn to. Maybe that's not a very wise thing. I don't know, but that's what I do.
It is a wise thing, Simon. It is a wise thing, because what you're doing, Bud, is you're becoming a consumer of the brand. And it's like, and I make reference to this quite a few times, but Drew Austin, who's quite a big person in the space, he says a good way to actually de-risk is just to become a consumer of the product, because you're enjoying the products and the process and the community and the team and all these sorts of things. And that's the element of this that allows it to appreciate. You circle back to Raoul Pal's comment. He's like, well, what people are doing is they're just reframing it in time blocks of 6 months. But if you just become a consumer of the product, it almost de-risks the investment, because you're like, because it allows the time appreciation on the back end to, and this is the thing, it needs time for these assets to appreciate over time. So I think,
and you're not trying to flip. You're not trying to flip. You're psychologically that's not in the game. And I think you're kind of enjoying the process instead of waiting for the reward at the end of it. At the end,
and the irony of NFTs is there's no end, because there isn't. I mean, it's just
you're right.
It's like Zeneca wrote a blog. It was brilliant. It was called Infinite Regret, and it's basically this space is infinite regret. NFTs is infinite regret, because the thing is, when the price goes up and a whole bunch of people want those apples. Burge, I know that you've got your war wounds from last cycle, and you've got a couple now, so you may sell one or whatever. But there's a very
But every time I sell, I'll be worried.
Yes.
Because like Simon said, I'm investing it. Like, yes, like you said, Jayden, I have the war wounds, so I know I need to take profit. But at the same time, in the back of my head, the only reason I bought that apple is I wasn't buying it to flip it in 6 months. I was buying it because I think long term, it's going to go crazy. So every time I sell, it's almost like the gift go is similar to me, because I'm selling this premium VFriends NFT, series premium VFriends series 1 NFT, and I'm like, fuck's sake, this could go way up in the future. I don't want to be out of VFriends for too long, because I might miss the boat here, and missing the boat when you know something and you believe in something personally and something's going to go to the moon, that's the worst feeling. Like, that's the worst thing, that you're just going to have regret. So obviously I will probably take profits and sell one of those apples eventually, because I bought 3, but I'll sell it kind of knowing in the back of my head, cool, this might go up another 10-20x.
You're letting go of a bit of you because you've invested in it, and then you're throwing that bit. Feels like
but that's why what Jayden says is so important in terms of why are you selling. There's no point me just selling that apple to then have, I don't know, 10 grand or 15 grand sitting in a bank somewhere. The only reason I would sell that apple is maybe I need it in it day to day for life, for rent. But if it's not for that, then I have to be pivoting it into something else. It's the reason why I sold the gift goat. I was sold the gift goat because at that point in time, I'd rather have had that money in Punk Strategy at the low price that it was at, and also, have a couple of extra bucks to spend on an apple. I've been able to get 3 apples and add a lot more to my Punk Strategy position. For me, I feel better about that. I think Punk Strategy is gonna go up more in the short term. It's gonna have more of a, it's gonna have more of a 10-20x rather than compared to the gift goat over the next 2 years. And the apples, at the same kind of token, the apple feels extremely cheap. Whereas the gift goat, I've tracked it so long now that I knew that, where it wasn't in an especially low point. It's low from all-time highs, but it wasn't a bad time to sell it. Maybe I could have gotten a couple of extra grand, but the problem then would be Punk Strategy might have gone up more, and I wouldn't be able to get as much Punk Strategy. So that's kind of why I wanted to sell it.
I think that's a really good segue, because I was going to ask you about the stuff that's happening at TokenWorks. Obviously, Adam's been posting for, it seemed like he wasn't posting at all. And then he posted this tweet that kind of went semi-viral, which was something along the lines of, you guys want me to post, but I'm not prepared to do marketing slop. Myself and Simon were having a conversation about this. I believe that there must be some type of marketing element to this. I don't think that the products are as discoverable as the TokenWorks team think. The product is brilliant. and it stands on its own 2 feet, but there must be some awareness around these things. I mean, what do you guys think around that? And did you see the tweet?
I did. I was going to say that one of the questions I had for today was actually, because you guys will probably know more than I do, I think at the technical level, the details of token strategy, although I am invested in it, in Punkster, etc., is wonder what's next. You know, I always am mentioning, because he's very innovative, very thoughtful. The team are obviously very good. I'm wondering what the conversations are now. Now they've got their new platform, they've got the recursive, they've got all these different things firing off and people diving in there and being really super creative, which is fantastic. I know he actually said what he loves most is the innovation that he's seeing coming out of it by other people. But I was wondering what the conversations might be behind closed doors. Right, okay, we've done that now. So what next? And what you said, Jayden, about would any of the conversation be around how do we get more eyes on this ecosystem? Because I'm sure they're not just going to not be thinking about what next. They're going to be, it's going to be in their mind, right? Be good to speculate about what that might be.
Yeah, I mean, I'll read out the tweet. He said, people say I don't tweet enough on TokenWorks, but I refuse to post crypto corporate marketing slop. People started copying that post and then applied it to their line of work. So I know Jeremy did it. And then basically now it's turned into a little marketing point. But it actually is every time he tweets, people want to hear from him because he's created this fascinating thing. And I think he should try and give people more of an insight. I mean, just on the Punkster token itself, it's been volatile. Obviously, the volatility is a function or a feature of how this thing gets fees and buys these kind of protocol tokens. It's 70% of the way to buying the next listed CryptoPunk, and it's got 37 in the protocol. How are either of you thinking about certainly Punkster? Because I know you both own the token. You bullish on it long term? I mean, what needs to happen for this thing to go to Valhalla?
Yeah, I'm definitely bullish on it long term. I think it's one of those. It's kind of tying it back to that Raoul Pal clip. It's just a question of time. You know, we need the NFT market to pick up, really, for these strategy tokens to go crazy. When the strategy tokens go crazy, you know, a lot, if not all of them, will go crazy if the NFT market starts to pick up and all of those underlying projects starts to rise. And these NFTs that the protocol holds sell. But just imagine, like, all of them are going to go crazy and they all funnel to Punk strategy. So all of them are going to start spinning, but then that's going to spin smaller cogs that are all spinning Punk strategy, which is also spinning anyway because of the NFTs, because of the Punk selling that it holds. So it's just a question of time, really. I mean, I get why it might be low now because we're in the first cycle of NFTs, so people still aren't sure if NFTs are going to make it back. But in my opinion, that is nonsense. They are definitely going to make it back. NFTs are definitely not dead and gone. I think enough things, like just the prices of certain NFTs now and what they're selling for is a testament to the fact that they're not gone. And I don't think we're, bleeding by 100 million knives to zero. I think we are going to have a bull market again in the next, 1 to 2 years. And when that happens, these strategy tokens are going to fly. These flywheels are going to spin, and these strategy tokens are going to go bonkers. And that's what's going to send us to Valhalla. But I do agree on your point that you mentioned earlier, which was I do think Adam has a big part to play. And I get that he doesn't want to just market it and just post, low value stuff. But I do think there's a middle ground there where he can find a way to, not only keep attention on it and keep posting about it, but also, as Simon said, innovate and keep doing more and more. And I would say with this new website, I really like what they did with the website, but I wanted them to do more of those collections, those strategy tokens on collections. I do feel like they've lost a little bit of the wind in their sails, in some sense, because I do think where we were before that website was launched, it was like collections clambering over each other to try and get their strategy token next. And I think honestly, maybe they should have stuck with that for another few weeks. Not as high frequency as 5 in a week, but 2 or 3 a week. They should have kept doing that for 3, 4, 5 weeks before they then did this website. And even with this website, I want them to continue to partner with collections and roll out strategy tokens. And now, those recursive strategy tokens are interesting, but they don't have. It doesn't seem like the market's really, gone crazy about them.
No, and actually, I think there's a couple of things for me. Is we talk from a marketing point of view, it is actually also part of all the collections that have taken part in this and got their own strategy token are part of that marketing machine. When you see some collections are actively marketing their own strategy token and they're really pushing it, and by default they're pushing TokenWorks and Punkster. Others may not be so much. So I think he might be hoping, assuming, maybe rightly so, that the more collections are involved, the more they become the overall part of the marketing machine. And one thing about Punkster, just to say, when you've got CryptoPunks in the Museum of Modern Art and you've got that kind of exposure and you see what's happening out there, it feels good to have that connection to a token that's directly correlated. Yeah, and I think that's for the future that looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, I think you guys are spot on there. My screen is just frozen. Just give me 2 seconds.
People are. I don't know what it is. Why Punk strategy is as low as it is. I've used this personally as a time to acquire more and more. My thinking is people aren't, just in general, a lot of people's confidence was knocked in this cycle, whether it was crypto or NFTs. But if you're in both, that's even, you've got the worst of both worlds almost. I mean, it's not like crypto is actually, awful right now. If you look at Bitcoin, it's sitting at 86, 88K. But I think people's confidence was knocked in this cycle. And I think people were hoping for that 4-year cycle, hoping for that massive banana zone run up in November, December. I know that's definitely what I thought was going to happen. And what actually happened was not that. And so a lot of people are scared. And as I said before, NFTs, it's only in its first cycle. So it's had its massive bull run in 21, 22. And now we're in the bear market. And we've been in the bear market for, in my opinion, we've been in the bear market ever since those 21 and 22 highs. And I think people need to see another bull market for them to have hope again, for them to have confidence that this is an asset that's going to survive in the long term. But for the people that believe that anyway, and that don't need, that feel that the bull run is coming, down the line, 1 or 2 years, we don't know when. We can't predict the future, but I think all three of us think NFTs are going to have a big revival, within the next few years. And for those people, I would implore them to look at something like Punk Strategy. I would implore them to have a look at their favorite collections, their favorite NFTs right now, whether it be the Apple of Curio cards, whether it be VFriends, whether it be Pudgy Penguins, Punks, Bored Ape.
Good Vibes Club.
Have a look. Good Vibes Club. Yep. Have a look at those now, because I really do think you could pick up them pennies on the pound. And when the bull run starts and it goes up and then it goes up again and then it goes up again, and people are like, hold on, this is the start of the bull run, and we'll be halfway up at that point, because people will be really late to call it, because they won't want to go too early. But when we're halfway up, you're going to look around and you're going to look at those punks, you're going to look at those Good Vibes Clubs, those Bored Apes, those Curio cards, and they're going to be at a completely different level to what they're at now. So, as the great quote says, when others are fearful, be greedy. And when others are greedy, be fearful. And I think right now, others are fearful. So it's time to really put your money where your mouth is if you believe in it and you have that utter conviction.
Also, putting it into it's a great time to think about the collections and the teams that you feel are going to make it, because of course there are going to be the death of collections.
True.
One interesting side from this is that, you know, this whole thing about buybacks and this perpetual flywheel. I was mentioning to you, Jayden, yesterday that Magic Eden have committed to I was just reading here, have committed to buying ordinals on a buyback program. So they'll basically, you know, some profits that they make, they're putting aside to buy ordinals, because what they're really saying as their own marketplace, you know, for them as a marketplace, they've always backed ordinals and runes, as opposed to some other marketplaces just haven't gone near it. Now, I'm not saying that's right, wrong, good or bad. I'm just saying, it's really interesting that there you've got a marketplace has identified what they can see is happening elsewhere with token works, and they're having a similar methodology and strategy. And it just shows you if a marketplace or an entity is more proactive in supporting the very thing that it sells, rather than just putting them out there and taking the money and doing little promos, but they actually put their money where their mouth is and buy back. You know, I think that's a really interesting thing to have a look, keep on the radar for ordinals, which, you know, I know a lot of people aren't into, but I am into.
Yeah, no, I know you are. Just to circle back on the strategy token stuff, the reason why I love it so much is, and I love it for I love it for NFTs, is because it lowers the bar to entry. Now all of a sudden you have a different type of person that can take part in the ecosystem. Like, I mean, look at us three. Obviously, I don't know.
Look at us three.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, we got me and Bird, like an A&E ward, and
I look like a potato with a mad hat on. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, but it's allowing us to participate in the price speculation of an iconic asset versus paying $150,000 or whatever the floor price is at the moment. It's probably lower than that. It's probably under 100 grand. But that will have the same effect for a whole bunch of other people in the space, which is why I think the discovery of it's really important, because people wouldn't know to search it. Like, people don't really know anything unless you're on Twitter or X. You're not really going to know anything about it. Like, you know, you tell people about, like, and I know I said this story before, but when I was trying yoga for a little bit, my yoga teacher, he was kind of like interested in what I did. And I said, you know, I write a little bit and I write about crypto and stuff. And then I was writing a punk strategy blog, and he said, oh, so what's that about then? And I thought, where do I start with this? And he was like, no, try me. And I was like, oh, okay. So I said, oh, it's this perpetual buying, selling and burning mechanism, which arbitrages the price appreciation of CryptoPunks, and it works in a flywheel. And he's just like, his eyes glazed over. Obviously, I didn't say it like that. I'm just doing that for entertainment purposes. I dumbed it down. But it's it's a very difficult one to explain, which is why I think, for good reason, there should be these kind of plainer explanations. I have been actually doing TikTok videos on it and stuff like that. Simon, you saw some of the comments I got on YouTube, which were
you've got to have a thick skin if you're going to be you know, putting yourself out there, haven't you, with comments?
This is it. I just want to add this to the stage quickly. You do have to have a thick skin, Simon. You're absolutely right. Although I do, so we're good. Let me just zoom in on this. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but this was Xcopy posted this. Usually he posts this as a bit of a preamble to him doing another burning event. People know already that he's got Painster, which is his strategy token. I know Adam used to do stuff with Xcopy back in the day. Xcopy was one of the earliest to adopt the strategy token. He did it for this Max Payne collection, which as soon as he did that, I was like, right, okay, X Copy's in on this. This token work stuff is going to be a thing. Now, the fascinating thing with this is obviously X Copy's market buying his own NFTs and he's burning them himself. So there's a double deflationary element to this, because obviously you've got the flywheel of Painster, which is then buying, burning, or buying, relisting, and burning. So this could be a really interesting one to look at if X Copy actually does do this. And let's be honest, he is the best artist in the space. He's probably the most sought after. And actually, Max Payne, I know it was an open edition. I think it minted at 1 Ethereum, and it's kind of it's at 0.7 at the moment, which is decent for an open edition. This is why I tend to stay away from open editions, because they never really go above floor price. But I think this is a good one to look at. If you don't own the NFT, certainly look at the. Obviously, it's not financial advice, but certainly look at the strategy token. I mean, what do you guys think of this? Do you think he's just trolling here, or do you think he's actually going to have a burn event? Be a nice little Christmas gift there.
I mean, I think he will. I mean, that was the reason why I bought Pain Strategy, and I've held it ever since, is because I'm, thinking that there's a burning event going to happen. And something like, I mean, I can't read in, I haven't followed X Copy enough to know, the types of stuff that he posts before a burning event. But I've gathered enough to know that he does, he posts without explicitly saying. It's like he posts something and you could potentially see this as he's going to be burning something, or this could just be some artwork that he wanted to throw on the timeline. But in my opinion, I think he intentionally posts. So he doesn't post very frequently. And so with that, there's intention behind every post. And I do think this could be hinting at a burning event. And the market thinks it as well. I mean, right now, Pain Strategy, sits at a 1 million market cap. But let's not forget that you only have to go back, I think, what would it be? 3 weeks. You only have to go back 3 weeks for this to be at 700K market cap. And you only have to go back an additional week, so 4 weeks, for this to be at a 500K market cap. So, this has gone up 100% over the course of a month. So the market is clearly reacting to. Now, I do think some of that was because of what he was posting around Art Basel, but now the reason why it stayed at that price is because I think a burn is coming, and I think some people in the market are really betting on that. And even with the NFTs at 0.7, I think that is a little bit above what they would be at if the burn wasn't, if there was no speculation out there. I think they would be sitting around more 0.55, 0.6. Now they're at 0.7, and I think that indicates, again, a little bit of speculation as well. In fact, I'll go and check it whilst I pass it over to Simon.
What do you think he is? I mean, I'm being a bit stupid here, so forgive me, but what do you think he's specifically going to be doing, burning wise? What's the speculation?
Well, no, it's not speculation. He's all. It's a deflationary project which he's burning already. So it started at like 7,500. I think it's like 4,800 left in the supply.
Yeah.
So he announces these burn events. I was just kind of scrolling on the floor price there. It's fascinating because even though it might be 0.7, but there's only like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. There's only 16 sales till it gets to 1 Ethereum.
Yes.
The floor's really
thin.
So are we thinking that it's about burning the NFTs or burning
both? Burning the NFTs. So he's going
what's
to.
it symbolizing?
I think Jayden's saying he's going to mark, and he's already done this before. Going to market by the NFTs, as in go on to OpenSea and I don't know, sweep the. I don't know how many he usually does. Jayden, how many does he usually do? Is it obviously it's not?
I don't know, but he's burnt 2,500 of him, and I know.
Yeah.
I know some of that was for another collection called Damage Control. So you're able to redeem another NFT, but he was also like market buying them and sending them to a burn address. He's obviously going to do the same with this. Well, is what he's suggesting, and but the other element of this is, you imagine he buys all of the relisted strategy tokens. Let's just put this into perspective.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
So if you go, because the thing is, if he's going to do a buy and burn, there's no point in him buying any other token apart from the strategy tokens. So let's just, I'm just having a check on my phone a second.
Unless he just does a broad sweep of the lowest 50, the lowest 100, let's say. If you were to buy the lowest 50, already the floor price would be at you'd get to 0.1. Sorry, you'd get to 1.7 Ethereum. That's the first 50, and obviously that's going to include a lot of the relisted ones, I assume. Let me double check that.
He's got 250, but 250 of those relisted, and I mean, I think that's going to be significant. I think it's going to be a big thing.
So the protocol owns 250, is it? And
there's 250 relisted. Yeah,
they're priced from 0.78 all the way to I'm gonna have to click a lot, but 1.4 ETH. I see 1.7 ETH. So maybe either he just sweeps those ones, or he just sweeps the lowest 50, and that includes some of the ones that the protocol owns. Or sorry, maybe not the lowest 50, maybe the lowest 100 or the lowest 150. I don't know how many he usually does, but if he sweeps the lowest 150, and that includes a lot of those relisted max pains, then that's obviously going to start the flywheel spinning. The pain strategy is going to go up. So there's two plays you can make here. One is just the NFT. The NFT on its own could be a good play, because you buying it now and relisting at 1.5 ETH, it might sell when he buys them up. But two is pain strategy, which might be the better play, because pain strategy is not only it allows you to go in at different sizes, but also if he only buys the relisted ones, you're good. And if he buys the lowest 50 or the lowest 100, you're still good with pain strategy, because it's going to include some of those relisted max pains. So in that way, pain strategy is almost the safest bet, because if assuming he does a burn, you're covered both ways, whether he only goes for the relisted ones from the protocol, or if he goes for lowest 50, lowest 100, lowest 150.
The question I have, what I was trying to get to the bottom of, was is he also, with the whole setup of the protocol on his terms, is he also himself burning the token?
Yes.
So what I'm wondering
is
he might actually not just burn, he might actually actively go and burn more of the token itself. Get rid of it, burn it, not just or is that a really dumb?
No, but the token. The token, it moves on its own.
Yeah.
So it's not like he can just be like, I'm burning 10 million.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing can't have an active part in that.
Yeah. The thing with the token is you'd essentially have to market buy it and burn it. I know the team's getting an allocation of tokens. I don't know how many, but he's incentivized because this is already a deflationary project. He market buys these NFTs and burns them, and it makes the supply deflationary. Now he's clearly incentivized to do that with the protocol tokens, because don't forget, he gets a percentage rake that comes back to him. I'm not saying that that's the reason why he's doing it. This guy's already filthy rich, but I'm just saying he's incentivized to do that. But then also it reignites that flywheel again, and also it burns pain strategy each time that happens. And I think it's perfect if you're burning the NFTs as well, because this just makes it like, I mean, it's just number go up here. This particular one just looks like a solid one. I know that we've spoke very highly of Good Vibes Club and Chimpers for actually more of the same reasons, although they're not really burning their actual NFT. Because they're trying to get more people into their ecosystem. But I really like what they're doing. Like, obviously, Good Vibes Club, they have a built-in royalty, so they have a revenue structure where they can market by their own tokens, and they obviously takes more of them off the market. But they've got a shit ton of good Vibes clubs, GVC NFTs relisted. I mean, there's 600 of them.
Yep.
There's 600 of them. So it's just like these. So where is the point of failure with this? Well, the point of failure is if the teams don't market by their own token. This is the thing. You remember when we speak to Tyler, and he was saying, look, they're getting the most amount of views of probably any Web3 company, which I think is fascinating. They've got like they've got 2 million followers on TikTok. I follow their TikTok account. It's actually really engaging. But they're starting to make revenue off of merchandise. If they start to use some of that revenue to market by their own token, and then there's a 10% rake that goes to burning. It's going to be really interesting. So a 10% rate goes to them buying up the NFT. I think it's going to be really fascinating. It's going to be a fascinating time for companies that have built-in revenue structures, companies that already have money coming in, and they do these flywheels. I think it's going to be a really interesting thing.
I think what they'll do, instead of buying the token, and the same for Xcopy, they don't need to buy the token. What they'll do is they'll buy the relisted NFTs, and then that will trigger a burn of the token. And then what they'll do with the NFTs is, well, for Xcopy, he's going to burn them. But for someone like Good Vibes Club or Chimpers, they could do it as a giveaway. And, giveaways get massive engagement. They're giving back to the community. Maybe they just use it as a giveaway. I mean, one thing I was going to mention, especially with Good Vibes Club, just the way they're doing things. I wanted your guys' thoughts on just how they're doing things. Like, for example, this is something, it's small. It's project specific. It's the GVC gift factory. So they're making gifts, and they thought, you know what? Instead of just making gifts from our characters and our collections without any community input, why don't we involve the community? Why don't instead we give you a chance to put your own GVC forward as a gift, and you have to tell a story and build lore around your character. And if we like it, it's gonna be one of the GVCs that we make into a GIF. That is something small, but that is valued so much by the community. You don't understand when the community doesn't have any of that, when there is really no kind of talking or communication between the people running the project and the community. There's this disconnect. But Good Vibes Club is involving the community in every step of the way. And I know other projects have done something similar before, where they've said submit your NFT and maybe it will be in Pudgy Penguins. Famously, they did it with the toys, right? You could have submitted your NFT and you could have been chosen as one of the ones that are made into toys that they then sell in Walmart. But I think this adds a little bit more. It's a little bit deeper than that. It's something small, I know, but they're asking you to write a story and to try and build some lore up of your own GVC that then they will use. So I think the storytelling part, which we were talking about earlier, comes back into this. GVC, when I haven't gone deep with Good Vibes Club, but when I'm looking at it, I'm seeing them starting to put a bit of story together, a bit of lore together. There's a character, for example, that, you know, is never seen, but I think it was in the mirror of the back end of the car, like the bezel of the car. You could see this character, and people were like getting hyped because they were like, is this a sighting of this Good Vibes Club? That matters. That matters. Like, all of this stuff matters. Right now, it only matters to Good Vibes Club holders. But if they can grow the brand and continue to grow the brand, it will matter to more and more people. So involving your community, I just think they're doing it in such a unique way that I think is going to pay dividends, especially as we move into, you know, what I think will be an NFT bull market in the next couple of years. What do you guys think about Good Vibes Club, how they're doing things compared to, let's say, 2021, 2022 projects?
I think they are on just one thing. Is I think them and Chimpers and a few others are on the front foot. So at the moment, others seem to be on the back foot, or they're neutral, or they're doing stuff in the background. I'm sure it's fantastic behind closed doors, but can't reveal anything. Like Chimpers and like a few others, they are doing things on the front foot and visible. So I think that's really needed and really powerful right now. Really taken by, is it Adam Weitzman, he's massively supporting Yuga, philanthropist, entrepreneur. I was looking at some of the tweets. I noticed he said he's backing them.
Yes, yeah.
Finally,
it is.
I've been watching this collection for ages. I love what they're doing. I love, you know, so if they're attracting, you know, I'm saying all this. I need to put my money where my mouth is. Yeah, you know, all of us keep talking. Not that we should all do it, but we keep talking about them. Keep talking about them as you've interviewed them, Jayden. You've interviewed.
It's funny as you guys have been speaking.
Maybe should we go and do it now?
I know what Jayden was going to say. As you guys have been speaking, I've just bought one.
No, Jayden,
that'd be crazy.
Can you buy us both a Christmas present, please?
Guys, you are. Listen. I am very dry on capital at the moment. I don't know how deep you think my pockets are. No. But it's funny, as you've been speaking and you've repeated Good Vibes Club, like the numbers have shot up on the viewership. So it's like, I think we should just sit here and
the algorithm is paying attention.
Yeah.
But it's genuinely, it is the new meta, I feel like the new meta. And honestly, this isn't like a wild take, because what they're doing is, like, for me, if I was running a project, it's like, this is how I'd run a project. Like, I don't know what the projects, I guess the thing is, with 2021 and 2022 projects, they didn't need to do this. The hype was crazy. There were projects that just, as we said in another episode, Jayden, you said, they just fucking put out a roadmap, and the floor just went crazy. It went to Valhalla on a roadmap. So these other projects never had to actually fight and graft for attention and for demand of their project. But now, as we've entered the bear market, they've had to. And I don't think a lot of those older projects have been able to adapt. They've been kind of shell-shocked, and they don't know really how to run the project. They don't know how to make a revenue-generating business. Maybe they're finally scrambling to their feet now. But with Good Vibes Club and with Chimpers, like, they've cracked it. And it's very simple. It's build in public. It's involve your community at every step of the way. That's what people want. In Web3, we want to be involved. Otherwise, we'd just go and put our money into fucking Tesla stock or fucking Coca-Cola and go to bed for 20 years. You know, like, we want to be involved.
20 years in bed. Blimey, that would be amazing, actually. But what I was going to say, Burge, just on that, interesting, without, you know, three collections and teams that launched, I think, in 2022. Okay, so as they were coming out of the bull run, or actually when we were really down, I was just looking here. Claynosaur's November 2022. Chimpers came in 2022. Good Vibes, were they 23 or
no? Good Vibes Club was this
24?
Year.
20, was it 20?
Or was it 24?
So that just says something.
No, hold on.
Me.
No, it would have been this year.
It was this year, I think.
It was this year.
Well, look, there you go.
So
I'm not just naming those three, but interesting how, going back to what you said, Burge, about the coming into fruition, being born at a different time, if you like, as collections. It's really interesting that probably those three at the moment, although it's probably because of my sort of, I have a narrow view of the ones I really like, but they just seem to be on the front foot doing stuff. And as I said before, I'm not saying other people aren't doing stuff. Other side, clearly Yuga, just another whole level, they're just doing something completely on a different scale. But as individual teams and collections, it's great seeing those three doing stuff on the front foot.
Yeah,
I love that. It's interesting, Simon. You can talk more on the Yuga stuff. Yuga looks like it's doing more of the infrastructure stuff.
Definitely,
it looks like it's creating more of the infrastructure that all of the other NFTs can participate in, which I think is going to be a long-term play. Whereas some of these kind of niche communities, and let's be honest, they are niche communities, because it's like, I'm just looking at the ownership of Good Vibes Club. There's only 1,631 owners, because obviously the supply of the collection is low, but it's all over the timeline. So it's got a lot of mind share. So it'd be interesting to see if they even come out with another collection. It was launched in March 2025, Burge.
I can't believe it. It feels like they've been around for.
Yeah, I know.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? But I mean, I like you, Simon. I like the people behind the business, and I like seeing, and especially when we've interviewed them, both sets of brothers from both Chimpers and Good Vibes Club, good lads. Their intentions are right, and they want to make it work, especially for the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a forever thing for them. This is not just a fly by the seat of your pants thing, which I think is the most.
I agree. Just one thing, without going into a whole nother topic, because I'm aware of time and all that kind of stuff, but just to put a nod to Yuga and Other Side with their continued partnership with Amazon Games. And it's a completely different, massive, big scale thing. And I think Other Side are building the execution layer and creating the space for creators to create and experiences to be had. But their partnership with Amazon Games means they've got a distributor, they've got a partner that can distribute to a wider audience. And what I love about this is they've just released I think with Chimpers and G's on Ape, these feels, the sort of gifs, emoticons that can actually emote while they're in the Other Side, but they're actual assets that can be bought and sold and traded. And I've actually got a couple which were just put into my wallet because of being a holder of some of those. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because they're actually going to be, I think, going live on the market again on Amazon Games again with the next iteration of things. And all I'm saying really is that I don't know how many people in Web 2 attached to Amazon Games, but that's how you onboard people. You don't sit there as a Web3 company saying, come here, please come here. You go out where they are, which in this case is the Amazon Games marketplace. And you say, don't worry about crypto. You don't have to have a wallet. You just, you got your email, got your ID already, just jump in. And I think that's a fantastic partnership. And I think it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
No, good stuff. But I just want to end on some of the stuff that's happening in the VFriends ecosystem. I know that there was a lot of stuff on the timeline. Last time we spoke about it, there was actually a lot of FUD around some of the physical releases. Anything that you're seeing there at the moment, or anything that you picked up on, Bud?
Yeah, big news. So basically, VFriends has it has a couple of different collections really, and one of them is book games tokens. Now these used to be on IMX on Token Trove, and they've now been ported over to the base network, so you can buy them and you can see them on OpenSea and on Rarible. And you basically, one of these tokens from the book games collection is so the book games collection was 125,000 NFTs. There's a few NFTs that are extremely low supply. And one of them was the Keynote Koala. It was called Koala 2025. And so people were like always speculating as what's going to happen. There's got to be something that happens with this token, with the people that hold this token in 2025. And we've had it finally, right at the end of 2025, but we've had the activation. The snapshot was taken on the 18th. And what it is, I've got the blog post here. It is a premium briefcase of new collectibles in the VeeFriends world. And you're going to get, if you were on that snapshot on the 18th, if you were holding a Koala 2025 token on the 18th, you are going to get 3 briefcases. One coming in 2026, Q1 2026, and then one in 27 and one in 28. So you're going to get 3 premium briefcases that are full with collectibles, including, for example, they've launched a new product called Manga Metals, which is cards made out of pure gold or pure silver. They've got the briefcase is a custom Zion case. But one of the really one of the best things, they've got collectible coins, which they had in the treasure chests, which we were talking about on the earlier stream. One of the really cool things, though, there's only 499 of these briefcases. And one of the things inside is this capsule. And if you open it, you can potentially win an NFT. So they've made this kind of sort of physical and digital. They've combined them. They've merged them to the phygital, and this is a physical item with a void seal proof, void sticker, so you can't tamper with it. You could, for example, you could open up and enjoy all the other stuff, and then maybe sell this, or you could just open up this and sell the rest. Inside this, 8 of them will have a Series 1 VeeFriends NFT, and they're goos. So Gary originally owned, which have a bit of a premium attached to them, and they're some massive characters. So we're not just talking about, your bog standard core Series 1 NFT that is about 1.2 Ethereum right now. We're talking, real good characters, and they're goos, which adds to the valuation as well. So you've got a gift goat. Well, I just sold one for 3.7. A goo might go for 4. I don't know. It won't go for a crazy premium if you're looking for a fast sale, but let's call that 4 Ethereum. We've got a spectacular 1-of-1 passionate parrot, Lava. That's going to go for a fair amount as well. Hangout Hawk isn't as high as the gift goat, but it's still better than a normal Series 1 token. You got the Keynote Koala, which those ones used to go for crazy amounts. 25 Ethereum, I think they used to go for. You've got an epic Vibin Vampire, which is a solid character. The very rare Accountable Ant, which is a very, very good character. Rare Motivated Monster, which dubs the purple cap from the CryptoPunks collection. And you've got the rare Entrepreneur Elf, which is another massive character in the VeeFriends world. So really, really, really good NFTs that you can win. And 8 out of the 499 will include those NFTs. So it was a really cool part to add in to the briefcase. I would definitely, I don't know how I would have felt if that wasn't included, but with that included, I feel quite solid that I feel quite bullish that the resale price for these briefcases, whether you want the collectibles inside or whether you just want to sell it, I think the resale will be pretty decent. So I think what you're looking at is at least $1,000 for each of the next 3 years. So, and then, so you got to understand, well, some people, and you obviously got to think, well, how much did people pay for these koalas? Some people paid quite a lot. So it's a tough one, but you've also got to think they also hold the NFT at the end of it as well. That's always the case with NFTs is if there's utility provided, you get that utility, but you also hold the NFT still. So the utility is usually the bonus on top. Would I have liked to see something else? it's hard to say. I don't know what else they could do. You got to think from VeeFriends' perspective, they're trying to create value here. They're trying to create value for the holders whilst make it make sense for them as a business. So stuff like physical collectibles is how they generate value. You know, they've tried to bring a lot of value to the comic books, for example, and you've got comic books included in this briefcase. They've tried to bring value to the super stickers and the pins and the collectible coins. They've tried to create demand for these things, and then they've tried to reward the koala holders by giving them exclusive collectibles that you can't get in anywhere else, so that the pin lovers in the VeeFriends world and the super sticker lovers will come and buy it. So that's kind of their thinking from VeeFriends' point of view. There will be some people that will probably think this isn't enough, considering how much people paid for koalas back in the day. But I think the fact that it's for 3 years, I think it gives them chance to, you know, keep delivering and potentially over deliver in the coming years. I'm personally, I'm neither extremely like, this was amazing, I'm so glad that I held my koalas, and I'm not, this is awful. I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I do think they hit it somewhat, and then there's some things I would have changed. But that
can I just say, Burge, just
NFTs,
one thing to you.
Yeah.
Just listening to you, just really listening to you, I was thinking about how this is kind of what it's all about, really, isn't it, with NFTs, you know, with this whole space, because it's just it brings out the child in us, I think, the magic, the storytelling, just listening to you talking about the characters and getting really passionate about it, and all the different permutations, the surprise of opening something, it being limited, being special. I do think that's where the magic is of the space we're in. And that's probably why I keep bypassing some of the, you know, the middleman, like some of the actual coins, and going straight to the end, more exciting point of the NFTs, because it's quite difficult to get excited. I don't really sit there going, and then, you know, I got this Solana, and then
you're right.
Solana. You know, I don't go anywhere with it.
Simon, you're so spot on with that. It's like, if you take the financial element out of it, it's actually NFTs are just more fun. And I've actually never met anyone who's got into NFTs and gone, bar a few people who kind of speculated on it, but I've never met anyone who's got into NFTs and just gone, that's a bunch of bullshit. Or actually that I'm not. I think once you kind of get involved in the community, you get the feeling, that dopamine hit of that NFT going into your wallet 20 minutes prior, thinking you've been scammed. But then it actually finally showing up in your MetaMask, and then realizing actually this is a whole bunch of fun. You have a completely different experience. And then because the assets are expressive and they organize, I mean, look at us. We wouldn't be doing this had it not been for NFTs. And, you know, it's like, it's funny, myself and Burge went to an NFT meetup a couple of weeks ago. I end up, lovely lad, guy called Loic, got into NFTs in 2021. I think he made a lot of money, got out of it. Now he's just saying NFTs are a scam. And me and him had a bit of a standoff, did we, Burge?
A debate, a public debate with the whole group.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I kind of, when I've had a few beers, I kind of let my guard down a little bit. And usually I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to let you do your thing. I don't need to fight the world here. But no. I had 2 very strong beers. And
he triggered you.
It basically triggered me. So my inner I don't know if you've ever seen Anger Management, where he's like in the Himalayan mountains and he's like raking. He's all peaceful and he's raking the sand or whatever. Anyway, it turns out that inner beast, you just can't you can't stop. But it's just completely different to coins. It's a different experience to anything else you've ever come across. And the thing with it's like you say with the coins, there's volatility. It's down 70%. But with the NFTs, you still have the asset. It's like the coins can go to zero, but the NFT, if you are a appreciator, if you like the art and you're a consumer of the product and you like the community, it's almost like it's by the by whether the NFT goes up or down in price, because it's the experience that you're getting through it. Trying to explain that to my newly found audience on Instagram is a hard sell, but I'm working on it.
I agree. And actually, teams, that's something that teams, whatever stage they're at and whatever they're doing, and I know they know this, but if they could lean a bit more into that, tapping into the magic, it doesn't have to be lots of money and it doesn't have to be really elaborate. It can just be tapping into that thing we all seem to be drawn to, which is storytelling, the magic of the surprise. That's half the reason I go and do. I mean, I've just been getting cheap little mints and things like that, because I actually just love what am I going to get?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? The reveal. Just even that simple thing.
Going back to that point you said, Simon, about it kind of brings the kid out in you. I think that's why, it's not why that these projects have launched IPs and tried to be the next Disney, the next Marvel, but it's not why they've done it. But I think it's going to work even more because they're doing it like that, which obviously, it brings out the inner kid in us, but they're thinking, like VeeFriends thinking, is try and connect with parents and kids now. And Gary's literally thinking, in 20 years' time, I'm going to play the nostalgia card when these kids who grew up with VeeFriends, I'm going to hit them with an absolute home run when they have kids. And I'm going to make a massive push in 25 years' time when these kids are now adults having their own kids. And I can have an even bigger, I can become even bigger in society. My thinking in general is NFTs are, it's so much more fun than the tokens. It's not just about the price, as you say. And I think it's the connections. I think it's also the connections that we've been able to make through the communities that we've been part of. So being able to, this feels like, I imagine this must feel like this space must feel like the early days of Silicon Valley, where we're seeing other people and we know we're both in something that is extremely early, way too early right now. Most of the, the wider world, most of the general public have no one that to get into NFTs. They have no real understanding. That's why you see people comment on Jayden's post saying that they're going to right-click save, screenshot it, and it's theirs. They don't really understand at all what it's about. But one of the things that when I'm at a card show and I'm really, advertising VeeFriends and selling people on what the brand is and how I think it could be, the next big brand. One of the things I really hate is that I never get to actually tell them that the community is amazing and that they might change their life by just joining the community. They don't need to even buy an NFT or even buy a card. They just have to join the community, which is free. That's the bit I never get into because it's too abstract it's too like people just don't get it unless they feel it.
Well, I know, and that's why all these different people, I know it's a very small ecosystem, really, relatively speaking, but all these different people, different ages, different backgrounds, different parts of the world seem to be connected by this thing that they get about the world of NFTs. They get it for how they're made, how the makeup of how they are as a personality and all the different factors that go into that, whether it's just a love of innovation, art, creativity, storytelling, being a bit of a nerd, loving the surprises, loving the connection, loving getting into good conversations about interesting stuff, about the possibilities of things. And that seems to be what unites us all. You see a lot of like everyone having their own little tribes and getting a bit hating with each other. But at the essence of it, people I've made a connection with, we all seem to have that in common. And I love that. I love that feeling. It's great.
No, I love that. We're just coming to the end here, and just to touch on the comments, because I know, Simon, you saw some of the YouTube comments, because a lot of the snippets that we're doing, guys, are going on YouTube Shorts, and they go on Snapchat, and they go on to different platforms or whatever. And I'll just read out some of the comments, which are absolutely hilarious. These are gold. So I got one from Darth_Duck. oh, buddy, NFTs are worth nothing. This is obviously after I've done it. Then I've got at Happy is Boss. Sweetheart, I'm so sorry, but I have to be honest with you. The JPEG has no value. You have been scammed. Thank you very much.
Right. Not only scathing, but highly patronizing as well. This is a beautiful combo, isn't it?
Yeah. Rude man Paul. Nice IKEA print.
I know. I saw that. What a put down that was.
Oh God.
The thing is, if I was a commenter, look, there's nothing I can say right now that would convince someone who's commenting that, that they're wrong. But what I would say is, if I was in their position right now and I was the person leaving that comment, what I would be dumbstruck by is how much conviction us three have. And I think that is a little sign that you might be wrong, and that this might require a little bit more research to have a take, rather than just reading a headline and putting that as your opinion.
It's like Chris Boniski says, if you're having an allergic reaction to something, there's someone on the other side of that having a positive reaction. So it's your job, especially when you're investing in these sorts of things, is to find out what the positive reaction is, instead of just making that early judgment. And the positive reaction is profound, because it's literally it's the thing that's going to consumerize cryptocurrency. And if you ask a lot of people, most people actually own cryptocurrency now. They think it's less scammy. They maybe own a bit of Bitcoin. Some of these young folks own meme coins and stuff like that. So we're becoming tokenized. So why wouldn't this digital token be worth anything? Which is the thing. That's
like with Bitcoin. You don't have to go back very far for it to be fudded and it's be connotated with scams and people. It was very unattractive to be in crypto or have invested in crypto. I had a friend who owned a bit of Bitcoin, and people would just be like, they wouldn't talk about it too much, our friendship group, but when Bitcoin would be on the news and it'd be gone down, they'd be like, oh, how's your Bitcoin doing? Like, razz him a little bit. But then when Bitcoin goes up, they're quiet as a peep. They don't mention it at all. So, one thing I do want to say, just because, just for myself and just for the history, today, the 20th of December 2025, I do want to just say and address the commenters, and I say, you are wrong. You are wrong, and time will validate what I'm saying right here. And you are completely wrong with NFTs, and you are wrong if you think the same with the crypto. You're wrong with crypto as well, but you are definitely wrong with NFTs. And I look forward to the day when I get to smile and say, I did say.
I like that. I like it.
I think that's a beautiful point to end on, Birch. Really rub their noses in it, just to say that is not for the viewers on X. That's just for these people on this obscure plan. Those are for the ones on Instagram who basically don't even know what an NFT is. But Birch, nicely finished. Simon, thank you for jumping on. I really appreciate it, guys. Just for those of you who caught the recording late, you can catch up on YouTube or Apple Podcast, or you can head to carrotlane.com. It'll be in written form and also on podcast there. So there's loads of places to catch up. Guys, this has been a great Christmas special. Yes. I love the hat.
Just looking at us.
I can put my hat back on the Christmas tree now. So happy days. Yes. But guys, really good catching up with you. And hopefully, let's see what we can do next week. Yeah. All right.
Of course. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Take care. Good one.
Bye-bye.